Hey, shalom to the hopeful elect. First and foremost, call Halayim Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rachakodash, Brakata Yahweh, Brakata Yahweh Shai, Brakata Yahweh, Brakata Yahweh Shai, Brakata Yahweh, Brakata Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostles and elders at Great Millstone who teach the truth and rule well. This is the brother Yatabia with Allah coming back from the GMS SF Bay Area camp. And I got a quick lesson today. Lord's will is edifying. But basically, going into, something that is overlooked, by the so-called Christians, and a lot of people, especially, of the circumcision, which call themselves Israelites, don't realize that, the kingdom is going to be established on earth. I know a lot of our people believe that this system is going to go on forever. A lot of so-called Christians believe that, the kingdom is in heaven, which, that's the spiritual world. There is a kingdom there, but the kingdom that is promised is going to be established on earth with Yahweh Shai as the ruler, with King David under him, because that's the controversy right now. Is King David going to sit in his throne? Yes. There's order. Yahweh Shai, King David, the rest of the apostles, and the 144,000. And David will be there, But nonetheless, this rulership will be established physically on earth. It's not, just something in the mind. It's not something that, when you die, then you just go to the spiritual world and that's it. No, the kingdom that is promised is going to be established on earth, and this is what we're fighting for. This is what we believe in. We believe in a kingdom that's going to be established in righteousness, in order, just like in the heavens, that this place will prosper. We'll be able to enjoy this place as it was meant to be. But I'm going to start with this. This is Matthew 6 and 10. And I'll start at verse 9. Because this is the Lord's Prayer. But it says, after this manner, therefore pray ye, our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Which, that's the importance in the name. The name is holy. In Tawadi Yahweh Shem Yahushai, he gave us that name to be able to call upon. But what does it say? Verse 10, thy kingdom come. Thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. So the kingdom is coming on earth as it is in heaven. And in that order, that same order that is in the heavens is going to be established here on earth. Now, what do you think is going to happen when that order is established? And yes, it will be established here on earth. Everything will be going back to its original state, its prosperous state. The food is going to give back forth its abundance. The people aren't going to be catching hell under the so-called white man, the wicked. The earth isn't going to be catching hell under the so-called white man. But see, the point is that the will of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai is going to be established on earth. You think this is what he wants established as the end all be all? That the so-called white man, the leprous devil, being in rulership? No, this was just to teach us a lesson, to show us what would happen when the wicked would be in rulership. And it was promised from the very beginning that the righteous would rule, that Israel would get that promise, not the so-called white man, not the Edomite, So now we understand that, hey, this has to come forth, I'm going to grab this real quick. This is in the book of Sirach, because it's just the Game of Thrones. If you've seen that, it's always, different people fighting over the throne. But, hey, all throughout history, that's what happened. The Lord gave different nations their chance to rule, But now, what has happened? All these nations failed. Now, who has to be set up? The righteous. But I'm going to start with this. This is Ecclesiastes 10 and verse 4. Actually, I'll just start from the top. It says, a wise judge will instruct his people, and the government of a prudent man is well ordered. Now, look what's happening in the world today. You have sedition. You have a kingdom divided. You have wickedness being prospered out throughout the earth. You have disorder. Why is that? Because this man is not a wise judge. He's wiser than Daniel. He knows how to look into all these things. but he doesn't know how to judge. And how do you judge? According to the scriptures. Verse 2, as the judge of the people is himself, so are his officers. So like it says, as the judge of the people is himself, so are his officers. And what manner of man the ruler of the city is, such are all they that dwell therein. And look at the state of this place. Look at the state of the world. It's in chaos. It's in utter darkness. Like we said, wickedness is being promoted. So that tells you a lot about who is in power. And yes, who is in power? Real quick, I'm going to jump back. Because this is what a lot of people, they turn their heads on, or they want to just outright deny it. Yes, there is a group of nation that's ruling right now. Look at the money trail. Look at who has control over the money, the media, all these major corporations. You look up, yes, it's kind of hard to go into that trail because, there's a lot of false names. There's a lot of renames, new names, a lot of names given under LLCs, but through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Shai, this stuff has been revealed. And it's been revealed that the so-called white man, aka the so-called Jew, the Amalekite, the top tribe of Edom, runs everything. He has full control. That's why, you say anything against the so-called Jew, what is it called? Anti-Semitism. That's how you tell who is in power, where you can't come against them. You can't say anything against them. Now that's common sense. Now, if you want to deny it, that's on you. But hey, this is why it's for who the ones who have ears to hear, who can see these things, who have been given that faith to understand, And it doesn't take a rocket science to know who runs the world. But this is Job 9:24. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. So the earth in the rulership has been given to the wicked. And what does it say in Malachi, the 1st chapter? That wicked is Edom. And what does it say? He covereth the faces of the judges thereof, if not where and who is he? And that's another, attribute to show that who this man is. Why has he covered the faces of the judges? Why is he painted over pictures? And there is a thing called iconoclasm. Look that up. This happened. Look at what happened during the Renaissance period. Look at why they call the Dark Ages the Dark Ages. What is it? Nature Knows No Color. I forgot what the book's name. But basically it shows you that Jake was in rulership. And what happened when Esau got in control, the so-called white man, he had to cover all that up. Why? Because he had that power to do so. So, without a shadow of a doubt, the so-called white man is in control. But yes, the earth was given, that position of power was given to him. And it was all for a reason. But what does it say? Verse 3, Sirach 10:3, an unwise king destroyeth his people, but through the prudence of them which are in authority, the city shall be inhabited. And the people are being destroyed. Look at the serpent juice. Look at, another thing, the pharmaceutical industry, who controls that, and look what it does to the people. Has them strung out on witchcraft, on witch's brew, serpent juices, to where ailments start to happen in the body. And not just the pharmaceutical industry, the foods, the GMOs, the water, the air, the clothing, everything is polluted here. But there's a reason Esau does that, But nonetheless, that's destroying the people. Now, you think that's a wise king? Obviously not. But it says, verse 4, the power of the earth is in the hand of the Lord. Again, showing you that the Lord has full control of who's in power. And he has given that power to the wicked right now to show us what wickedness is. And to punish us because, hey, we went off. We were supposed to be that light. We were supposed to be the example for the world. And what did we do? We went off, And it also shows the power of the Lord because he can set up the basis. Because Esau, contrary to mainstream, history, he was the basis of men. He was the lowest of the low, grunting. He was the true caveman, And And the Lord put him in a position right now to be over us all. That's the power of the Heavenly Father, you know. But it just so happens to be that we're at the end of that. We're at the end of our captivity. We're at the end of this man being in rulership. And the Lord, Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, is going to put that true heir in the rightful position. And who is that? Yasharallah. It says the power of the earth is in the hand of the Lord, and in due time he will set up over it one that is profitable. And that's what's going to happen. You know, what is that? I believe it's 2nd Ezra, the 6th chapter, or the 9th chapter. No, it's the 9th chapter. You know, we're witnessing the end of Esau's rulership and the beginning of Jacob's, you know. And that's that profitable ruler, Israel, you know, starting with Yahushai. And this is what we're seeing. And it says the earth. You know, it doesn't just say the spiritual world. It says the earth. So that goes to show you that this place, this kingdom is going to be a physical kingdom on earth, you know. And see, the apostles, the elders, they all knew it. All the men of the Lord, they always desired to see this time, you know. But this is Acts 1 and verse 6. It says, when they therefore were come together, they asked of him, saying, Lord, will thou at this time restore again the kingdom to Israel? Why? Because the kingdom wasn't in our hands at that time. Who was it in? The Romans, which was the Edomites, you know. But see, was the time restored? Was the kingdom restored at that time? No. We had to have what? Prophecy fulfilled. We had to have that falling away first. We had to have the mark of the beast institute. We had to have this tribulation, you know. And then we have to have the great salvation before the kingdom is established. But see, the point is, all the men of the Lord knew that this was going to happen, you know. See, but this is heavily overlooked, you know. This is Revelations 2 and 26. I'll start at verse 25. But that which you have already, hold fast till I come. And yes, Yahushai is coming back, and it will be in our lifetime. And he that overcometh and keepeth my works unto the end, to him will I give power over the nations. Now, if the kingdom, you know, was just in heaven, why would you need power over the nations? Why would this be in here? You know, if it's just something to be a Christian, then you die and you go to heaven and that's it. Because this is a kingdom that will be established on earth. And he shall rule them with a rod of iron. Why would you need a rod of iron in heaven when everything's spiritual? It says, as the vessels of a potter shall they be broken to shivers, even as I received of my Father. And I will give him the morning star. He that hath an ear, let him hear what the Spirit say unto the churches. So the point is, this kingdom will be established. And yes, the elect, the nation of Israel, will rule over these other nations. Thus saith the scriptures, and we're reading it, you know. So you to say otherwise, you err not knowing the scriptures. You know, the Holy Spirit isn't dealing with you. Because there is, how do you explain this? Other than that, a kingdom will be established on earth. You know? There's no going around it. This is in 2nd Ezra 6 and verse 54. It says, you know, because these other nations, they gotta go into captivity. You know, that's prophecy. And we gotta go back to our positions of ruling over them. But this is 2nd Ezra 6 and 54. And after these, Adam also whom thou madest Lord of all thy creatures, of him come we all, and the people also whom thou hast chosen. So that nation, there's a chosen nation. All of us come from Adam, you know. All of us come from what? Shem, Japheth, and Ham. But there's a chosen. All this have I spoken before thee, O Lord, because thou madest the world for our sakes. So the world is made for our sakes. Therefore what? The kingdom has to be given to us. That's the promise. If the world was made for us, how could we be in a low position? You know, which it's going to go into. It says, as for the other people which also come of Adam, thou hast said that they are nothing but like unto spittle, and has likened the abundance of them unto a drop that falleth from a vessel. So, hey, all these nations are nobodies. But they happen to be over us in this time. Why? Because we went off. But it says, and now, O Lord, behold, these heathen, which have ever been reputed as nothing, have begun to be lords over us and to devour us. So these nations have been given that rulership. And you can read that in the scriptures, and you can understand why they were given rulership, why they were given the power to take us down, because we went off. You can read it, the book of Jeremiah, the book of Isaiah, all the different books that show us how we would follow for a short time the law, statutes, and commandments. Then what? Our kings that were set up over us would cause idol worship, all these different things. And we just read in the scriptures, that what was it in Sirach, if how the king is, that how the people will be, roughly paraphrasing, So what happened when the kings were starting to do all this idol worship? The people would do it also, So then what would happen? The Lord would set up all these different heathen nations to rule over us. And that's exactly what's going on now. But see, we're coming into the time where this promise of us getting our kingdom back is going to be established. But it says, and now, verse 57, and now, O Lord, behold, these heathen, which have ever been reputed as nothing, have begun to be lords over us and to devour us. But we, thy people, whom thou hast called thy firstborn, thy only begotten, and thy fervent lover, are given into their hands. And that's what's happening. We don't have that rulership yet, but we will. Verse 59, if the world now be made for our sakes, why do we not possess an inheritance with the world? How long shall this endure? Hey, but we're at the point where it's not going to endure very much longer. And we're going to get that inheritance. Thus saith the scriptures. And what is our inheritance? The kingdom and these nations. Real quick, Psalms 2 and verse 8. It says, ask of me, and I shall give thee the heathen for thine inheritance. So these same heathen that are ruling over us in their kingdom, especially the so-called white man, what's going to happen? The Lord's going to fulfill his promise and give the heathen for our inheritance, and the uttermost parts of the earth for thy possession. So has that happened yet? Going to show you, again, a prophecy, a promise that this kingdom will be established on earth. Again, what does it say? And the uttermost parts of the earth for thy possession. Why would we need this if we're just going to die, go to the spiritual world, and that's it? Because that is not in the scriptures. Well, it is in the scriptures that we die, we go to the spiritual world, but hey, there's something called reincarnation, and there's something called the promises. And what are the promises? That at the end, that second covenant would be established, and we wouldn't have death anymore, But what does it say? Thou shalt break them with a rod of iron, thou shalt dash them in pieces like a potter's vessel. Be wise now, therefore, O ye kings, be instructed, ye judges of the earth. And that's what's going to be established, the true judges of the earth, the true kings of the earth, which is the whole nation of Israel, starting with the elect. But this is the promise. This is the promise of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai to establish this kingdom on earth, And I'm going to get this last scripture and close out. But see, the Wadi Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, because we have been given the spirit and this knowledge and wisdom to understand the scriptures, because if you were stuck in that Christianity, what are they telling you? To prosper in this world, to do what thou wilt, basically, die, believe in Jesus, die and go to heaven. And that's it. But where are the promises? Where's the covenant? Where's the kingdom being established on earth? That goes to show you that these so-called Christians don't have the truth, But the Wadi Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, because we have this truth. We've been given this truth. But this is Isaiah 14 and 1. Well, start from the top. It says, for the Lord Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai will have mercy on Jacob, and will yet choose Israel, and set them in their own land, and the strangers shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob. Now, who is this? The Israelites. And these strangers are talking about the Israelite foreigners, if you can receive it. Now verse 2 is talking about the heathen. You have to understand how to precept upon precept, how to understand the doctrine. Verse 2, and the people shall take them, what people? The Israel, and bring them to their place. Take who? The heathen. And the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord for servants and handmaids. And that's the inheritance. And they shall take them captives, whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors. You know? And it shall come to pass in the day that the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai shall give thee rest from thy sorrow and from thy fear and from the hard bondage where thou was made to serve. And that's what's going to happen. We're going to get that rulership again. We're going to get the kingdom established on earth as it is in heaven. Thus saith the scriptures. There's going to be order on earth as it is in heaven. And the heathen are going to go into captivity. And the true rulers of the earth are going to be established. That profitable nation, which that profitable nation is the nation of Israel. The so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, and all those who stem from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, you know, which will be called the Israelite foreigners. So their forefathers go back to those same people, if you can receive it, you know. If not, well, what does the scripture say? For what if some did not believe? You know, hey, it doesn't matter, you know. Your unbelief is not going to make this prophecy void. It's not going to make this promise void, you know. This will happen. But yeah, that's pretty much it. You know, Lord's will, this is edifying. You know, like I said, again, you know, the kingdom will be established on earth. You know, no matter what any so-called Christian says, no matter how much the truth-er wants this place to continue, hey, the real kingdom is going to be established, you know. And Lord's will, Yahweh Ratazah sooner rather than later, because this place is hell, you know. But yet, you know, once again, call Haloim Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rachakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders at Great Millstone. Shalom to the elect, and a Baba Ball.